How's it, everyone? We are the Joy Schtick Show. Your three favorite friends from Hawaii are back to talk story about what brings us joy in comics, video games, and pop culture. We'll share our shtick with you, so stick around. If you fancy what you hear, please like and subscribe on the platform you frequent. Your support is greatly appreciated. If this is your first time, mahalo for spending it with us. I'm your co-host Drake. That's Thomas.
What up, what up?
And that is Scott.
How's it?
Welcome to another episode.
Ooh,
that was
in my high notes.
That was my falsetto, but it wasn't as correct as I'd like it to be. Hey, so today's a kind of a special episode in terms of the month that we're in, or I guess the amount of time we've had. It's Women's History Month, which is, I think, not new. Right?
It can't be because there's been women forever.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a new thing, but for some reason it feels like this is the first month I'm hearing about it as a whole month. Like growing up, we had Girls' Day, right?
Yeah. Asian
thing. Asian thing, and then you have Boys' Day, and so like we've always kind of celebrated girls, if not just for one day, but the whole month thing is sadly new to me.
Yeah. Is that the same for you, Scott? Have you heard of this tradition before?
No, I always knew about it. I don't know what's wrong with you guys.
Oh, you did.
It's been a designated month as of March 1987. So
shut up. Well, yeah. I'm not taking out of the clickings out of the background, so everybody knows you were looking it up on your computer.
Talking about all this stuff.
Yeah. Since 1987.
I'm going to just try to turn up the volume on the clicking, so it's like... And if I can't hear it, I'll just add some in.
But no, I do have to say, like, this has probably been the first time I've been seeing it, like, in the socials and everything, like, kind of, like, being, like, pushed, like, hey, like, let's make this known and celebrate and everything, which is cool. I'm all about that.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, with that being said, I think we have a fun thing to start off the night, which is who are our top 5 female heroes?
Okay.
Yeah, so should we all go? Should we just drop all 5 of them, or should we each like throw 5? No, let's just drop all 5
let's go
of them.
5 and 5 and 5. Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah, Drake, you want to kick it off?
Definitely. Okay, so just top 5. I try to spread it out over the course of things that I enjoy, and then obviously the things that cover what we cover. So first, or in this instance, who is on the list? Julia Michaels, singer-songwriter. Beautiful voice. She's written a lot of like bangers, and some of the songs that I can jam out to, Julia Michaels all day. Anna D.R. Moss, for many different reasons, but just because she's kind of a, for lack of a better term, like not a U.S. Born individual, and she was able to kind of break into Hollywood and kind of play a bunch of different roles, whether that's action or romance or comedy, and that's pretty fantastic. And then getting into go for it.
It's crazy. I was just gonna say like how she got into War Dogs, like learning English for that movie.
Yeah,
and that kind of broke her was insane.
Yeah, I mean, putting in the work, right? And then going into like the comic realm, Psylocke is probably my favorite comic female. She's
That's a good one.
X-Men, super cool powers, bordering on like Omega level mutant, Asian-esque, so that's nice on representation, and a baddie drawn up in her attire. If you haven't seen it, go look at it. Hey. And 2 of my other interests, F1, Jamie Chadwick is open wheel racing. She actually has won the W Series 3 times in a row, so much so that she's going to go into Indy NXT, so she'll be in IndyCar soon. Or she's participating currently in IndyCar. She's 14th. And then Caprice Didasco, she plays for the Houston Dynamo. And she went to Kamehameha in Hawaii, and she raps Hawaii hard. And she raps. She raps in the soccer world. So that's my 5. Obviously, there could be more, but we just narrowed it down. So
That's great, man. That was a solid list. I liked it.
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, that was tight. I didn't think you kind of went like realistic in terms of like pop culture and stuff, like real people. I did not do that. I went fully like pop culture characters.
That's okay. Variety is good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Scott, do you want to go next, or do you want me to fire it off?
Yeah, I can go next. Okay. No particular order. We'll start with I got Sigourney Weaver. She's OG Alien, OG badass. You know, seeing it when I was growing up, I'm like, this chick is crazy cool. So yeah, she's on the list, of course. I have some musicians on here. I love music, so I got like Adele, Nina Simone, Katie Pruitt. These are some of the musicians I listen to. I'd say it's so hard to pick. I'm just gonna use this as like one of them. Like pretty much any one on SNL, any like female comedic actress on SNL. Like
solid.
They all I feel like crush it. And you know, growing up watching SNL, like they're just hilarious. And then for comic wise, I'd have to say I got Poison Ivy on there.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know,
there you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's one of my wife's favorites, and you know, she's pretty awesome growing up reading that and stuff. You know, she's not like necessarily the hero you'd think, but like she's kind of like Magneto. Like she's got her own drive, and she doesn't.
She's kind of not a bad guy, I would say, recently either. It's like, I mean, I guess she kills people, but so does the Punisher.
Right.
And like her reason for doing things is almost not. It's like borderline. She's not even really a villain anymore. I feel like. It depends on who you read. But
I agree.
I don't know. Yeah, solid list, man. I didn't even think about the musicians part of it either. Dang it. It shows you how narrow-minded I am. But I went all like fictional women. But damn. So again, in no particular order, because I don't even think you can rank these characters in any order that would make sense. But I don't know. Maybe somebody out there can, fight me on Twitter. Let's see. We got Leslie Knope from Parks and Rec.
Nice.
I've got Tomb Raider Lara Croft. I've got Robin Scherbatsky from How I Met Your Mother. And I just put Catwoman in there as well. Yep. And then Black Widow.
Yep.
And Storm. So I think I have one extra in there, but I couldn't really decide. I just feel like such strong Marvel characters. I love the X-Men. Storm is such a strong member. Jean Grey was always the damsel in distress, I feel like, until she got the Phoenix Force. So, I don't know. I feel like she's an awesome character, but I always felt like Storm didn't need nothing but her own self and her power, and she just needed to step into it. So she's a bad character.
Dude, for sure.
The best possible way.
Yeah.
So, that's it. I like the list, though. It's pretty good. We're going to have to throw that up on Twitter. And, if you guys like our list, tweet us back or write us on the social medias, because we want to hear what your top 5 female characters or pop culture heroes would be. Female.
Yeah. Thank you for being awesome, ladies.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, let's crack things on for the first bit of the night. And we had a new trailer. We had TMNT Mutant Mayhem. Did you guys get to check out that trailer?
Yeah. That looked cool, man. I gotta say, like, it seems like it's for a different generation. It definitely feels like they're like a younger Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Like maybe just turned 13, like just teens.
Right.
And maybe they'll talk about that in the movie, like how they're teenagers now and they're grown up or something, something like that. But it's cool because they all seem like they're on equal terms. Like they kind of are getting into their characters that they've been known for. Yeah, their personalities. Yeah. But like they're still like all on the same even ground almost, like you just kind of see Donatello kind of working with Tag. Raph's kind of like mischievously like like telling his little brother to do stuff so he can like he's kind of like roughhousing his little brother, like throwing a ninja star at it. He's like, why am I doing like just like all these little things that are pointing at it. And I love like the art that they're going with, like, and I like this direction of like how these animated movies are going too. Like it kind of reminds me of like Into the Spider-Verse, but it's like different enough. And like I'm hoping more animated movies do stuff like this and like take chances with it. It looks really cool. And it does have this like really late 80s, 90s feel, but then it's also modern because, they have the smartphones. There was a reference to like, oh, they look like little Shreks and like stuff like that. But it still has this old school hip hop feel. Like it's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm really digging it.
You're right. I didn't think about that. There is like this weird kind of new school meets, I don't even want to say old school because it's too soon to call the 90s old school. But I mean, at least it is in my mind. But you're right. It does kind of feel like the 90s brought to modern life.
Yeah.
And they're super young. I really dig that. What do you think, Drake?
I liked everything about it. I'm really excited, like Scott and both you and Scott are talking about kind of the art style and the blending and the amalgamation. It's almost like new nostalgia, if that's like a coined term.
It should be. That sounds fucking awesome.
And it really got me thinking, like, will they ever do a live action Ninja Turtles again? Because watching those back in the day, that was kind of like the epitome of that genre, I guess, at that time. And so I was always kind of curious. As I was watching it, I was very curious. I was like, man, will they ever do one? They don't need to, but it was just like a thought I had in my brain house.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt it. There was somebody online, another podcast that's out there that we're friends with online, and called Nomads of Fantasy, and they just did a review for the original live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, sick.
And I was like, that's so smart because I loved that movie so much. And you're right. When I was a kid, I was like, how did they make them look so real?
Yeah.
And like the prosthetics and the makeup and the costume, it looks so damn good.
Yeah.
And they could dance and they could flip and they could fight.
Yeah.
Right. The fact that they were so
Incredible.
functional, like, compared to like some of the early Batman where you couldn't like turn his head and it was like noticeable. Like, but these Ninja Turtles were doing backflips and all that kind of stuff. Like, it was pretty impressive. And even now, looking back, like, maybe it still kind of holds up to me, maybe because I have that nostalgia to it, but still really impressive. Like, I don't know, like, the mounts move like exactly when they're talking. Like, it's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think we'll ever see it again where it's just practical, but yeah, the special effects on the latest ones that were live action was really cool, but it almost looked like they weren't the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles anymore to me. It was almost like Transformers-esque, where
right? Because was it Michael Bay? Because it kind of felt
so.
It felt like real Michael Bay-ish.
Yeah, right.
But yeah,
Like
they felt like early 20s Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
Like not teenagers anymore.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I like how they're really young, and I also like that the cast in this show or this movie is all of the main stars or people who we count as Hollywood A-list stars are side characters.
Yeah.
So I feel like all it's going to do is elevate the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like you're going to know, okay, that's Paul Rudd, that's Seth Rogen, that's I think Ice Cube's in it.
Oh yeah.
I have to thing pulled up here, but yeah, Ice Cube is in it,
right? And you just have this powerhouse of different actors.
Oh, Jackie Chan is Master Splinter.
Oh, Jackie Chan, yeah.
And then Seth Rogen and John Cena are Bebop and Rocksteady.
That's hilarious. Perfect casting there.
Oh, Maya Rudolph, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna pop off. It looks super good from what I've seen, and I agree. The animation reminds me of Into the Spider-Verse, which was by far one of the best animated movies in a long time. Where I think adults can appreciate it too. Yeah. I think this is gonna be the same. I have faith.
Yeah, and what's cool about it, like you said, like accentuating all the side characters and being able to hire like really young, kind of unknown kids to play the voices. If they decide to do sequels. Like these kids are young enough where like maybe they'll progress with the characters, whether they age them or what have you. And then they can always get like cool other side characters and bring them in. I'm already like feeling it's going to do well and like rooting for the sequel.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks fire. So, yeah, that was it kind of for trailers. We're on to news.
Ooh.
And Drake, I thought you'd be stoked about this one. Or I'm just curious if you're even going to go see it in theaters. But The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King is going to be coming back to theaters for a special edition 4-hour cut. What do you think? You're going to go back and go to the theaters and watch it?
So I own all 3 extended DVDs, and I've owned them since they've come out. And I've watched them very liberally over the course of my life. I don't know that I will watch it in theaters, but I think the experience that you can't really get right from anywhere else aside from a theater is going to be super key. So if you're into Lord of the Rings, definitely do it, especially because we know that they're going to reopen this series again and make more LOTR movies that are expanding on top of the lore already. So I'm super stoked for that. The reason.
What if I send you a robe, some hairy feet slip-ons, a white wig, and pointy ear prosthetics? Would you then go?
I think I would. Yeah.
Yeah.
This
is one I wish we were like all together and go.
Yeah.
I have to say, like, every once in a while, the theater near us will do like a throwback, like once a month or something like that. And I don't go all the time, but I went with one of our friends, John. He's been on here before, Johnny Harris.
John.
This is before Maverick. They were bringing Top Gun back, and we're like, man, I haven't seen it in so long. It'd be cool to see it in theaters again. And like, it was just like cool to watch an old movie like with your buddy, like on the big screen. So this would definitely, if I have time and it falls on a day where I'm off and like it works out for everyone, I wouldn't mind seeing it again in theaters. It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think I would need to be, completely bored and have 4 hours where I'm like, you know what? Hey, it's a Wednesday. Yeah, why not? I'll go check this out, But, yeah, interesting. I wonder why Return of the King specifically, but we know that Warner Brothers is going to be trying to make new movies, so maybe this is to gauge what happens with these new movies coming out. I don't know.
Potentially.
Yeah. Cyberpunk Edgerunners won all the awards for Anime of the Year.
Rightly so.
Rightly so.
That's what I was thinking.
No qualms, yep.
Right? I mean, it was so fucking good. It reinvigorated the game. Such a crazy story that built out a different side of that universe in the game and then made people want to go and play it. I'm stoked about it. I think, absolutely.
Yeah, I hope they do more with, even if it's not like a season 2, I hope they just do more with Cyberpunk. Like, build on that world, do more anime. That'd be sick.
Right.
Even if it was like was it Animatrix, where they just did like mini, like short stories?
Yeah.
I'd be down for that.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think they could push Cyberpunk super deep. I mean, I know they're doing already expansions to the game and potentially making a second Cyberpunk. So the lore in itself, it's infinite, right? Like, you can do anything, considering how well it did in the award show. I mean, milk that cow until it's udderless. I don't know. Is that a thing? Utter?
Milkless maybe.
Milkless?
Yeah, I don't think you want to rip off the udders.
Just too much.
This one's broke.
We milked them dry. We milked them raw, and they
just fell off. They fell right off. Yeah.
I think that was one of the biggest letdowns after watching Cyberpunk Edgerunners and then playing the game. Hearing that CD Projekt Red, or I guess Netflix, had no, they weren't planning on building or making a new season was like, what? How? That's so crazy. So and anime is an untapped market, I think, for Netflix that just run that all day long. And even if a new season or every season is new characters they focus on, because I think David dies in the last one. I mean, it's like, just do that. It seems crazy to me, but phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, go watch Cyberpunk Edgerunners. All right, let's see. Another thing that was cleaning up, and we've kind of talked about it when we were talking about our end of the year recap of like the best movies and shows of the year. Everything Everywhere All at Once was on there. That is winning all the awards also. Nice. And I'm not surprised. Screen Actors Guild, Critics' Choice, all this kind of stuff. So I'm super happy it's getting the credit it deserves, and I think it's awesome because it gives these type of unique movies with interesting concepts and directors who are not, your Christopher Nolan and all that. It gives them a chance to be this massive contender for movie of the year. I dig it. Yeah. We'll see if it wins the Oscar, but yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about it?
Again, rightfully so. One of the most imaginative and well executed movies out there currently, especially because you're dealing with all the multiverses and you're having to keep it with pop culture, but you need to keep it light, but you need to keep it serious at the same time as well too. So Daniel's did a really great job at bossing it out and bringing back again that new nostalgia, right, with everything. So kudos.
Yeah,
I agree. And I just saw an ad recently for like hot dog fingers you could buy, and I'm like, I can't remember the last movie that could sell like a very niche product from that movie that like made you feel like, I gotta impulse buy this. You know, like made me think like, I almost want it right now. And I'm like, wait, what am I doing? I'm gonna buy hot dog fingers and then what? But like, it's just kind of cool that it's available out there. And like, this movie did that. So
I didn't even think about that for Halloween this year. How many people are gonna be,
cool.
The mom
couples
and couple like... Jamie Lee Curtis. So many. That's gonna be an amazing Damn, you're right. It went there. There's gonna be people who dress up like rocks with just two sticky googly eyes.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be awesome. So yeah, agreed. I love that movie so much, and I think it's super well deserved. So we'll see what it does. In the Oscars again. I think I'm most curious about where it does there because that's supposed to be the biggest of big awards. So we will see. All right, shit, we are into reviews.
Ooh, dang.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see. So we took the week off last week, and we weren't able to talk about The Last of Us episode 7. How do you guys want to do it? Should we go? No. Yeah. Let's briefly try to run through episode 7, and then we'll talk about this week on episode 8 of The Last of Us.
Yeah.
That sounds good. So you want me to kick it off?
Yes.
Please.
So this episode basically, if you played the game and you played the DLC, this would be the DLC portion of the story. The DLC is just as important, I'd say. Like, it gives a lot of backstory on like Ellie and like how she got her bite, and like just like her relationship with growing up in the QZ and like maybe like the people she trusted. And like in this, we see like she had like one real friend, and it came to a traumatizing end, and that kind of like explains why she kind of is the way she is. Like, she doesn't trust a lot of people, and the one person she did trust and love like ends up dying in front of her. But it was a really cool episode. I'd say they stayed pretty true to the DLC. I want to say in the DLC maybe there was like more the clickers and all that stuff, but that's kind of like the show itself. Like, it's just, it makes more sense for them to like not be overrun by it and stuff. The way they did it was like with just enough. I thought it was really cool. Like, they had the whole mall to themselves, and like they're playing the old Mortal Kombat, which is awesome. There were moments.
Escalators.
That's so cool too. Like, to just be reminded, like, oh fuck, like some of these characters haven't experienced some of these like simple things we take for granted, like moving stairs.
I know. But, like, I was thinking about magic. It. I know. I was watching. I was like, escalators are dope, man. Like, because even when they break, they still work.
Which drives me nuts when they put like an out of order thing around it. But there's still stairs. But it's like an old Mitch Hedberg joke. But they're awesome. And like it was cool to just see like nostalgia of the old arcade. You don't get to see that anymore. Like, you go to some arcades now, they're mostly like experience type of games versus like actual just arcade. Which is like okay, but I do miss the old like jumping on and playing like a 4-player fucking adventure game like Gauntlet Legends or the Marvel game Turtles. Or X-Men. Like just a side scroller. Like, those are freaking amazing. Or just an old school beat 'em up. That's awesome. But there were moments in it where I couldn't help but, it's like throughout the whole show, I'm like, you guys gotta be quieter. Just because you walked around one time doesn't mean like there's not something lurking in the shadows. Like, there's so much trust in this show. But then Christine reminded me, like, like the whole escalator system, like growing up in the QZ, they maybe just heard stories about monsters but never really experienced it. So it's like you take for granted your safety. I would assume it's like me moving into the wild right now and then being like, nothing can hurt me out here. And like, oh yeah, there's wild animals that will attack me if I just, tread on their territory. So
Yeah, the other thing I thought too was I was thinking the same thing. I was like, why are they making noise on everything? And it's one, I'm like, because I know how this is gonna go, and I like there's that part of it. And then the other thing too was Riley has been staying in there for maybe weeks now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why? Like, how did she not know? But like, there was maybe one in the back of that store. So like, how could she know? I guess. But I was like, what was the difference that one night as opposed to any other night? Like, were they making that much more noise or something?
Yeah, I was thinking that too, and I think it was like the because they're playing games, so which she probably was doing, right? Like, so it's all this like maybe the zombie-esque mushroom man at this point is like used to like certain ambiance noise or like arcades going off. That's just like regular stuff, but. When they go to him, you could hear the laughter and the "oh man," and it sounds like people. And I guess these are things she wouldn't be doing when she's by herself.
Right.
Which I mean, it's not the strongest argument because sometimes there's like a pebble will drop and they're like, and then they start running towards that pebble. So like,
perfect.
I don't know, but yeah. And then in this, it was just the one zombie-ish thing that like did him in. Which I kind of wanted a swarm. Like, I get it, but I wanted like maybe 3 of them or something just to kind of get overrun. But it was the one. But it was cool though. I feel like the actress who played Riley did a great job.
Storm Reed.
Storm Reed. She did a great job.
She's so good.
And we got another great example of Bella. Was it Bella Ramsey, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bella Ramsey, like just holding her own. Like I'm just like. We know Pedro Pascal is like a powerhouse actor, and like of course them two together is great. But like this one was like an example of like, can she carry on by her own? Is she strong enough as like a leading actress, to keep you engaged and stuff? And like I felt like she did a great job.
Got it. Yeah, when you were saying on her own, you're like, oh yeah, because episode 8 kind of answers that. But you don't mean like surviving on her own. You mean like the actress being able to carry the scenes without Pedro Pascal being on scene. And I agree. Like I think in this episode, Bella Ramsey was. I like this one. I was like, okay, I get why they chose her for Ellie.
Yeah.
Like it becomes more and more apparent, I think, every episode where I'm like, okay, I get it. Like she's a stronger actor than she sort of seemed to be in the earlier episodes.
Yep.
And you get more and more, like she gets to have more range and she delivers on it. She like is able to pull it off. You're like, damn, okay, she's a good actress. Yeah, I feel like I bought into her more and more as the show's gone on. Yeah, you were saying something, Drake, about it?
No, it's almost like the role is, obviously it's meant for her, but like, in how they're allowing her character to develop, it's allowing Bella to actually show her range and her acting chops because she's having to obviously deal with Pedro Pascal, who's, like we talked about, a powerhouse, but then now she's doing these solo things and working with even smaller actresses or actors and really kind of helping them. She's like Michael Jordan the situation to an extent. So it's almost as if like the role she was meant to play so that she could show kind of how good her acting is and is becoming in front of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And it definitely feels like in the show it's blossoming and her character is blossoming. And it's like this really crazy, I always use the word juxtapose. I need to use a thesaurus so I can find a different word, but it's like, I mean, literally juxtaposing her real life person and the character we're seeing on screen. It's like we're seeing them all kind of grow at the same time.
Yeah. Like I'm just like one of those, I'm like a sucker for like, actors who are able to tell a bunch with like micro expressions. There's so much being said without saying it, and like you just know she like really loves Riley, and like this whole like we've all been there when we were younger, like this whole awkward like, oh, how do I even like mention it? I could ruin a friendship if I like mention I like. So it's like you can just see her in her face, like there's so many times she's like almost going to, and she's like nah, and I'm like, and I can't not compare it to like a bunch of shows that do that, but like, like CW shows or whatever. Like there's a common theme that we see, but like she's like on such another level. Like when she does it, I'm like, she's like way more believable. And I found myself like not really thinking about Pedro Pascal's character like in this episode. I was like, I knew we'll get back to him, and I just really wanted to like know all about this. Like I was so happy to just experience all of this.
Definitely.
On a different note, but like kind of similar, like this episode in general, because in the game, obviously, we're seeing a lot more zombies because that's the whole situation. But like they're doing a really good job at creating tension without the zombie there. Almost like how when we talk about scary movies, and when you see the threat less, it's even more ominous and more scary. And they're doing that with this, which is kind of the opposite of what you typically see in like a zombie-esque type show. But this whole episode, they're going into the mall. It's huge. They turn on the lights. Why are you making so much noise? Like you see the thing, blah boop boop. Like everywhere, there's like a threat, right? And it's two little girls trying to be grown up, and in a situation where being grown up is like, and we'll kind of start to see that moving forward in the next episode. But like the tension is so palpable, and they're doing such a great job without doing zombies. And obviously we know how much we love our zombie flicks. So great job on the directors and the writers.
I agree with that.
I highly agree with that as well. Like it's crazy when you can feel so scared for them and you haven't seen the zombie yet in the show. You know what I mean? Like, obviously we've seen zombies throughout the season, but in this episode, before we had even seen a zombie, I was like, don't do that. Don't stop hitting that so loud.
That's true.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that is already like a win on the writers building that, holy shit, anything can happen right now.
Yeah. I'm that dude in the group, like with them going like, guys, I don't know if this is a good idea. Like those that kind of movies. Like while they're having fun, like I like seeing them have fun, but I'm also like, guys, like we really should get out of here. Like the whole time I'm watching it. Which that's a good point. Like there's always tension, even when you're enjoying the relationship. You're like, at any moment it's gonna go down. And knowing it's gonna go down, you're like, when's it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen now? Oh, is it happen now? Oh, they just made a big noise. It's probably gonna happen now. Like the whole time it's on the back of your mind. So that's a good point. They do an awesome job with that.
They did. Yeah, it was great. Storm Reed was a perfect foil for Bella Ramsey in this episode, and I'm just curious to see if they go back. Next week's the finale. I wonder if we go back and we see how that night ends. Because I don't know, in the DLC, do you get to see, does she kill Riley?
See, I can't remember, but I think there's more closure to it than what we got in this episode. And I was assuming we were going to get that in this episode 8. Because this episode kind of touched on what was happening in real time and the flashback. So I was like, oh, they're probably going to do something like that in the next episode, give us some closure. So, yeah, you're right. I'm hoping they do it in maybe in the last episode, just to kind of see. Because I feel like it could have a stronger ending, like a more impactful ending.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that's a perfect jumping off point. Let's get to episode 8 because, I at this point is kind of where I realized I stopped watching the cutscenes. I always think I finished stuff and then I didn't. You'll hear this in the Creed recap where I'm like, yeah, I finished Creed 2. I didn't. And then I was only halfway done with that movie and I watched this recap about it and I'm like, wait, I was only halfway done with Creed 2. I never finished it. So, I didn't finish the recap for The Last of Us either, or I guess all the cutscenes. And it jumps in and we see David and his flock and we get to see how these people are living in, I want to say it's Silver Lake, in not a real town, in a resort. And just creepy undertones right out of the jump. Something's off about these people, but we can't really be sure. Is he a guy you can trust? Is he not a guy you can trust? He's telling James, you better trust me, without saying you better trust me. And we are kind of left there, and now we pick back up with Ellie and Joel after she's sewn him up. And, she thinks, I don't know, I think she's thinking to herself, I better get some food or we're both going to die.
Yeah.
And that's where she goes out to hunt.
Yeah.
It's pretty true to the cutscenes that take place in the game, which it was interesting because, obviously, in contrast to the game, there's so much differences that are more entailed towards the viewer versus the game player to add a lot more context, which is beautiful in itself. But this one kind of stayed a little bit more true to it, which I thought was really good. When she leaves out to go shoot the bunny, and she kind of fails in that situation, kind of the recap from when she was at that house earlier with the two older couple when they were getting into that region.
Mm-hmm.
And then
with Bill and Frank?
Yeah, Bill and Frank. Or no, not Bill and Frank, the married couple.
They're living out in the
they're
cabin.
living out in the cabin.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
So that kind of like cyclical situation, right? They went from shooting the bunnies being shot, her learning how to shoot, then her actually getting a shot at a bunny, but now it's much bigger because she has the deer situation. And how that all unfolded was very, not verbatim, but very true to how like the game was. And I really like that because the creepiness, the undertones, and I know I was texting Thomas about this a little bit earlier, but like the undertones of everything were, man, almost like when you're smelling gasoline, or what is it called?
Fire.
Poop. When you're smelling poop from a doo-doo, no, when you smell like the gas coming off of your gas stove, and like you're not really sure if what it is, but like you can kind of have that air. That's kind of how the air of the degradedness of these individuals were. And when we get to that scene, I'll talk more about that. But something again like they do with tension, but even more so now, where you're like, she should just trust these people. I mean, nothing we've seen so far has been any negative connotation. So, sticking to her guns and really coming of age, knowing that you cannot trust anybody regardless of, how they look and how they act, et cetera, et cetera. So leading into that, it was already good for me. I don't know. How about you guys?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was really strong where you realize, again, you're like, oh, wait, no, Ellie's not a trusting person. I forgot about that. And especially when she doesn't have Joel to back her up and she doesn't let this guy slide on anything. Either she's a really good judge of character or she's not a trusting person. And by the time she kind of comes around to start trusting him, it's revealed like, oh, wait, you're not somebody I should have ever trusted in the first place. I just loved the way they like revealed back David's character through this episode. I thought that was really well done. And again, using Ellie as the litmus test of, wait, do we trust people or do we not trust people in this world? And this is one of those people, ironically, like, she's pretty consistent. You know what I mean? Like, even when they go to Jackson and she meets Tommy and meets his wife, she doesn't really trust the wife either. But, it serves her well in this scenario, I will say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, especially in this, like, post-apocalyptic type of world, like, you got to be more skeptical on people than just, like, trusting. And I think it's because I played the game. Automatically I'm like, oh, I know who these guys are, so but I was trying to watch it in that sense where, like, okay, like, most people don't know who they are, and are they doing a good job of, like, masking it? And I feel like they really did do a good job.
Yes,
Scott Shepherd did a great job of, like, he does have this face that's like, you can trust me type of thing, but there were like these.
I liked his tone.
Yeah, like he had everything was very believable. Like, where he was like, I was a teacher, and like now I'm a pastor, and like the way he speaks to these people and all that stuff. But then, like, there are like these little sinister undertones in the way he looks at people, and you're like, oh, that's a little weird. Like, if you didn't know. Also, shout out to Troy Baker. That was super cool that he had like a pretty big part in the episode. Yeah. And if you don't know, Troy Baker is the voice for Joel in the video game. And it was cool at the very, you probably do if you watch the show and you watch to the very end. He talks a little bit about like how he was like, man, I thought I'd just be like a clicker in the show. I didn't think I'd get like a full thing, which is cool because I'm like, man, I'd like to see him in more things. Like, he's a good looking dude and like he's a good actor. Like, I hope he starts getting like, because I know most of these voice actors are also actors as well. And like some of them, they just got a great gig doing voice acting. I mean,
I think some of these voice actors treat their craft. I mean, we are like, oh, voice actor, but I mean, if this is teaching us anything, if Critical Role is teaching us anything, is that these voice actors are actors. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to like say it was less than. I mean,
No.
They don't
I
mind
don't
getting
think you
me on
were.
the camera as well. But
No. Yeah. I don't think you were at all either. But I think that other people outside of people who know about these actors do think, oh, well, they're not you can't be on a TV show. You can't be on a movie as yourself, as a character.
Right.
You have to be a character and then you're just the voice. Where it's like, no, a lot of these voice actors were trained as real actors and they fell into a role where they were just a voice actor. Or not, again, where they were used mainly for their voice for these characters.
Right. Which is a skill on itself. Like, just because you're a
Yes.
great actor on screen doesn't mean like you can portray all the emotions with just your voice. So like there's a high skill there. But like even on screen I was like there's that thing that I guess, you want all your favorite actors to have. It's like they don't need to do much to kind of like get your attention. You want to hear what they have to say and like he has all that. So I'm hoping to see him in like more things.
Right. Okay, cool. I think you answered it, but yeah, that was going to be my question for you guys was, do you think because of the success of the voice actors in this show, do you think we see more voice actors from video games, from animated movies or shows move into live action and be on camera actors?
I think if they want that extra fanfare, I think yes. Imagine if Kevin Conroy played a part in a Batman movie. Like we would.
He did. I think.
Yeah,
he was in a live action show, and I think he played an older Batman.
Yeah, like that's fantastic. Like it. Yeah, like when we see Stan Lee, like duh, like even more so, like when it has parts to do with the creation, it's beloved, and I think the more you allow the beloved characters or the individuals to stay in there, like the more value it adds, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Like for like another example is like we grew up. I don't know. You guys probably did. Grew up watching Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
And like the older brother,
Feeney.
That guy says that Eric Matthews, Friedel.
Yeah.
He,
right, Scott.
we've seen. Yeah, I know. Real Frito-Lay, and he did like acting like on the camera, and then he's done a bunch of voice acting. He's done stuff for Critical Role as well. You know him as like Ron Possible and Kim Possible. He's done a bunch of other stuff. But hopefully, like voice acting is, and maybe it will be like seen in the same sense of like where doing TV used to be less than movies, and then now it's pretty common to see big names doing TV, and then vice versa. You'll see some like TV actors get thrown into like movies and whatnot. So hopefully it's the same way. Like there's some mixture in that part. And I guess we are seeing that kind of like with the Sandman audiobooks. You get some of these like crazy actors doing the voices. I just hope to see more the other way as well.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Troy Baker's an incredible actor. You could see it in this movie, in this show. And I think that we still have Ashley Johnson coming up from Critical Role as well. And she played Ellie in the video game, and she's going to be in the next episode in the show.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's going to be great.
Hey-o.
I mean, she was in the Avengers as an actress. She had like a very small part, but she did get a speaking line. And, there's no reason why these actors who've trained their whole life, who are part of the industry to some degree, and who put a ton of emotion and physicality into their voices, can't go do that in front of a camera somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's like there's no reason for that. So, I loved it. I thought it was great. The religious undertones of this episode were really interesting too, and how he was juxtaposing the way he was treating his flock and who he was and the opportunity, and also the way he was relating cordyceps to God, I thought was interesting in this one.
Yeah.
Because, from that line of you have a violent heart, I see that. I also have a violent heart. And I thought that was the dialogue there. That was probably ripped straight from the game. I think a lot of it was, but damn, was it
that one line in particular wasn't from the game.
Oh, was it? Okay.
I think they talked about like that it very well could have been. It was like kind of like an undertone that wasn't said, but they were happy that it made into the show. But I really did like that line too.
Yeah, I thought
that whole scene where she got caged up was prime. That should Oscar nominated for sure.
Yeah, he was he was just so sinister in that moment, and also like just the whole child bride situation, and then trying to convert her like, hey, you should come on you should be on my side, because if you are, we could rule this place. And it was just interesting. I saw a comparison on Screen Crush, and I really liked it, that his 3 offers were the same that God offered to, I want to say, Abraham.
Oh.
If you want, go. Yeah, one is of power, one is of I don't know, attention, one is of something else. And there's 3 bids that God gives again to Abraham. And I feel like when you break it down side by side, it also is very reminiscent of it's exactly the same pretty much of what he offers Ellie.
Ooh.
So it's pretty badass. Yeah. And this whole episode starts off with Revelation 21, the end of times. And I like, not only did I think all that was cool, but I also like the comparison of the end of the world can make you who you are. And sometimes that's a beautiful thing, aka Bill and Frank. And sometimes that's a terrible thing with David.
Yeah. Could I just offer another parallel?
Yeah. Please.
So David talks about how kind of everything happens for a reason when he's talking to Ellie inside of the house, right when they caught the deer, right when he told what's his face to go get the insulin, and he's like, because when we've sent 4 of our flock out and one turned up dead, and hence the reason why there's all that animosity in the beginning of the episode. You have that family grieving, right, because they lost their dad, and in that, everything happens for a reason. Obviously, the grander tone of why Joel is trekking Ellie across the country, how big the U.S. is, how little people there are, and how small the world happens to be, because they're encountering all of these individuals at random, but everything is interconnected. And with David, or with that whole situation where then now David has that control and animosity built up within his own flock, and his flock wanting to essentially, go out and take the life of Joel because of this, that, and the other. And that turns back again further on down, most likely when we see the end of the series. But just very interesting how Joel and Ellie are the driving force of the entire situation, obviously. But when it comes down to all the other ancillary parts, everybody's out to get them because they're the ones that are, to an extent truly connected to like a purpose in themselves. To go off of what you were talking about with David.
Yeah. Wow. Damn. I didn't see it like that. That's crazy. Yeah, that's a really crazy connection you made, and for sure. Yeah, it kind of makes their purpose, and yeah, like it almost makes it more pure and more righteous than just, hey, she has the blood to cure the whole world, particularly. Like there's also this pure love that exists in them, and that in itself is kind of the best of humanity, not just saving humanity with a cure.
Yeah,
yeah. Were you going to say something, Scott?
Yeah, I was thinking, because you talked about when, what's his name, James? James was sent off to get the penicillin. And there was just things about that. I was like, did they mix it before getting it? Because normally I don't think they're like, I think it's like a powder and you gotta like shoot stuff in. Just because I work in like in a hospital.
Right. But, I know you're not a pharmacist, but you work in the pharmacy. And I was like, wait, does penicillin work like that? That was like the first thing that came to my mind.
That was the other thing. I was like, there was a couple things that like came to my mind. Right? I was like, okay, I want to talk to a doctor because like, I wonder if like just shooting penicillin right into a wound is like the same as like where you should probably shoot it. Like if you're gonna have the same effect. And also I'm like dosing. Like is she just giving the whole bottle? Like there's gotta be like again, I want to talk to the doctor. Be like, so is it just like the more the merrier when it comes to like stab wound? The penicillin. I was like, there's just a lot of things I don't know, and I feel like a lot of people don't know. And it's easy to just be like, just like, just like when you watch those old shows and they're going to give someone a shot and they draw something up and then they just shoot out like a whole ml just to show you. Like, we got we gotta prime the syringe. Like, I'm like, no one fucking does that.
No.
Like, no one, like, you prime it, but you don't just shoot it out into, like, all over people, and you're like, hey, now shot. Like,
I know. I was thinking about that because I'm like, that like spanned over every person, over weeks, over months, over a year. Now you've just shot out thousands of dollars on the ground in medicine. Right? So I always think about that.
Yeah.
So,
but I am interested to know how accurate or how effective even that any part of that could be.
Dude, please report back what you find. Because I was thinking that instantly. She says it. She's like, Joe, where did I put this? Where did I put this? And he doesn't probably know either. But I'm like, I mean, I guess just shoot it in the medicine. Like, if I was her, knowing what I know right now, I probably would put it in an arm or like try to find a vein. I don't, she's whatever, 14. Like, she probably doesn't know that. And also end of the world kind of crap. But I was like, man,
but still, like, he got better and he got up and starts killing people. So, like,
I know.
In this situation, it worked. But I have some pharmacist friends. I want to ask them, like, okay, could any of that even happen? Or, like, I mean, or it could happen, but would he just die? Like, because that was like, it looked like a fucking 20 ml syringe. She just jammed in him and then she gave him more later. I'm like, I don't know.
So I got a question for you guys.
Gave him a Red Bull can of penicillin. She's like, here's 8 ounces. Let's go.
Like, it was
Red Bull in the apocalypse. It gives you wings. So obviously the climax of the episode is kind of like the last 15 minutes where in the game that's kind of like the big boss battle. But in the game, when they're waiting for James to come back and the deer's just lying on the ground, the zombies attack, and that's kind of how Ellie trusts David a little bit more in this situation. Do you think that would have been a thing to do in the show to give David a little bit more credibility, or do you think it would have helped or hindered? How do you feel?
I see what you're saying. I think like I like what you were saying, like the less zombies we see, the better sometimes, just because like we know it's in the air. But also in that scene where like he's talking to her, like he's doing a pretty good job of like you as the viewer kind of trusting him just enough until he says like, he starts talking about, we sent these guys out, and there was this guy who killed one of our men. And the thing is, he was traveling with a little girl. And then instantly you're like, oh, fuck. Like, I think it was a good turning point. But I see what you're saying. Like, I think we've seen that sort of thing in, like, The Walking Dead and stuff. Like, there's always, like, a Q-zombie shootout part and then back to story. And, like, that works, too. But I feel like in this show, it's been working way more with just, like, character-driven type of situation, just dialogue.
Like I agree. Like it still works, and it's like if it already works, it probably saved them budget, money, and figuring out a way to like insert that into the scene. But again, Screen Crush, I didn't come up with this. He was saying that he liked having the zombies in the game because you start you go through all these battles with this guy, and like any soldier can tell you, like you go through all these battles with a fellow soldier, and then there's natural trust with them. And he's like, and in the game you're playing Ellie, right, and you're going through all these battles, zombies are attacking with David, and so you kind of trust him more. And he's like, I kind of wanted that in the show too. At least one zombie to attack them when they were in the house or something. And then boom, they kill them together. And then now there's like even more trust for David. So when he switches on her, it's like even crazier. But I think from the jump, they already kind of show you he's a little shady. Where in the game, he kind of pops out with James from the house, and they're like, hey, let's split some of the meat. And it's a little shady, but you can't tell. Like, I feel like in the show, it was from the jump, you can tell there's something off about this guy.
Yeah.
And I do have to add, like, in this show, they're doing a really good job of covering a lot of content in, like, an episode. Each episode is almost like a one-off, like, story arc. I could easily see this, like just this scenario alone with like these people with David and stuff could have easily been like a 2-3 episode arc in like if anyone else was telling the story. So I feel like with the time they had, it made sense for the things they did. Like, and they're doing it really well. Like while watching this episode, like I know how the game ends, and I'm like, I don't know how they get there.
Yeah, in this
after
last
that,
episode,
like I don't even see them wrapping up this episode and then the last episode finishing the game. Like, but then I see the next time, like basically on Last of Us, and I'm like, oh fuck, they're gonna do it. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't doubt they're gonna pull it off great. It's just like they do such a good job of like just picking like what you need to know and then like creating the perfect dialogue to like make it make sense and like leave you not like hanging. Like you're like, oh, that's everything I needed to know. Like,
yeah, they're like packing so much in like actually a short amount of time.
Yeah. That's so much to pack in an hour. This was like a movie's length. This could have been a movie, you know? But they did it in like an hour.
I know. And we're already here at episode 9. It was like, for me, you know, covering this week to week, it's like, where did the time go? It felt like this show flew for me. And I have not felt like that about a show in a long time. There's shows I've loved, but it still felt like, oh shit, that felt like 8 weeks. This has not felt like 8 weeks.
Yeah.
This has flown by.
Yeah. It's been going by super quickly. And to Scott's point too, like the amount of content they're covering too, it feels very, very quick.
Totally. Yeah. So kudos to them, man. The showrunners crushed it. The writing is fantastic. I'm just sad because we're going to have to wait a year and a half for season 2, but you know, whatever. We'll see Papa Pedro back in the Mandalorian, which if you guys have anything else to say, we can move on to the premiere of The Mandalorian, which came out last Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh, wait, real quick. Did we mention they were cannibals?
I don't know. Did we?
They ate people. Yeah.
That was a big thing. They were fucking eating people. And
super subtle.
Real quick,
super subtle. Yeah.
Scott Shepard did a really good job of like being like, hey, I'm your friend. Hey, I want to marry you. Hey, I could eat you. Hey, let me just take you. And do what I want. Like
now I'm gonna eat you.
And then I'm gonna and it was like also the place is burning down, but I'm gonna focus on doing something else.
And I'm gonna try to rape you while everything's burning down around me. Okay.
Like
I feel like it maybe works better in the game.
He did a good job as like playing this really crazy person. And it was gnarly to see Ellie snap and like fucking kill him at the end. I was all about. I mean, it felt like a very John Wick type of like.
It went on for a bit.
This guy, kind of thing. But then it made sense. Like she was. That's talk about a traumatizing moment, and like this is her getting out, and like. Yeah, and it was crazy, and then coming out and seeing Joel and like being like, "Don't touch me!" And
exactly. Well, he sneaks up on her. Why you gotta do that, Joel?
Ninja. What
why
you
gotta do that?
Turn off your sneaking mode.
Okay. Last thing, and then let's catch back up to this moment. Sure. But I liked his interrogation scene. On those two guys, which was very much like the game as well, right? Almost recreated, and so much. I mean, it was still so brutal, and the dialogue was pretty much the same. And damn, does Pedro go from, being, I just, I'm going to shoot you to the nice couple in the woods to, I'm going to pop off your effing kneecap if you don't tell me where she is. And damn, does it work in both? He can pull off both. He's so freaking good.
And then, dude, it was crazy when he goes to the next guy, like, fuck you, I won't tell you anything. He's like, nah, it's okay, I believe him. Like, I'm just going to kill you. I'm like, holy crap, dude, if they ever need to redo the Taken franchise and redo, like, completely, like, Pedro could do it. I totally believe he has a set of skills to save his daughter.
Exactly. I totally believe he has a daughter. He's had kids and everything else.
Exactly. But then, going back, now she's with Joel, and it's like, man, she was, like, forced to, I don't know, experience something like no one should ever experience. But just like I don't know, like now she's like an adult in a way. Like she just like had to do like the worst thing you could probably imagine, like overcome someone trying to like take everything from you, and like the only way out is to murder this person.
Well, coming off the back of that last episode where like that was her innocence, and then in this episode, it was to a degree, right? She's losing her innocence. I mean, they didn't explicitly show, but there was a lot of like intent in that situation, and her. I mean, you could make a lot of like comparisons, right? Like the blood in itself, coming of age, or like the situation where it almost took place coming of age, where she's having to leave her past behind, like truly, right? It's not just with the two brothers, right, where she felt like, oh man, I lost my friend. She's actually potentially losing a lot more this time. So I think they did a really good job without kind of traumatizing the audience. I know I talked a little bit about it earlier, but to really show like the intent and like the damage that's taking place.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how the name kind of ties in. You know, it's not like the last people, like The Last of Us. These are the last people around, but it's also like the last of us that's still good or human or pure.
Yeah.
You know, I love that as well. And yeah, we're slowly seeing her like that get chipped away from her. You know, and as good and as youthful, as childlike and pure as she was in the beginning, like you're getting to see all of that paint get chipped off and like what's underneath. You know, and we're seeing more and more of that. So,
and from just a viewer's point of view, like it was cool to see her just being able to take care of things by herself, not having to be rescued.
Definitely.
You know, it sucked that she had to do certain things by herself, but like she's capable, and like her and Joel are both like capable, dangerous people. If like cornered and forced to do things, like they will do it to survive. It's just
well said.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yep. Super well said. So that was The Last of Us. Again, finale. Yeah. Tell us what you think. I'm curious to hear what everybody else is thinking about The Last of Us. I've been getting a lot of individual texts, but let's throw it on the gram or on Twits. The
Hell yeah, let us know.
Do it.
I'd be curious. All right. The Mandalorian.
Hey-o.
We got the Mandalorian back after, 2.5 years. And after a Mandalorian 2.5 that they titled as Boba Fett, but I don't know why they did. And we got him back, and Grogu. For those of you who hadn't watched Boba Fett, he reunites with Grogu there. So when he popped up in this episode of the premiere, and if you're like, wait, what the hell? Go back and watch the last 3 episodes of Boba Fett. That's pretty much all you need to watch.
Yeah.
And then carry on with your life and start watching The Mandalorian.
Yeah, basically, if you're my mom, go watch Boba Fett, Mom. Because she was wondering. She's like,
What?
she's like, how does this? And I'm like, oh yeah. They did that in Boba Fett. You gotta go watch that.
And
like
then
I almost
didn't
forgot
even recap
that
it.
That's true. Yeah, like why not? Yeah, they recap everything else. I feel like
Right. They recapped everything from season 2. Why wouldn't they recap the part where Grogu and Mando reunite in Boba Fett for other people? Like, why?
Yes.
I don't know. It's just weird. I was like, all right, well, they're just not going to talk about it. Cool.
they forgot too that Boba Fett was so forgettable. They forgot to recap
exactly.
the part.
Yeah.
They're like, let's pretend that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, it starts off, we see this kind of ceremony going on as well. I see her, the armor making that helmet. And I was like, oh, it's a small helmet. Oh, is it Grogu's helmet? And then she walks out of the cave. It's total Jon Favreau to make piece of armors in caves, but here we go. And so she walks out.
Hilarious.
And there's all of the Mandalorians, and they look badass. They're all, crazy colored and whatnot, and banners and stuff. And that kid kind of looks like Pedro Pascal as a young kid. Did any of you guys think, is this a flashback? Because it got me for a second. I was like, oh, maybe this is a flashback.
Yeah. I was like, are they just having kids or what?
No, because maybe for a second, but then I saw that big dude who like is voiced by Jon Favreau, and
yeah.
I was like,
Paz Vizsla, I think.
And I was like, there's no way his dad looked just like him, or so. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, that's him. So
same body shape and everything. Yeah, no, totally. And then alligator crocodile attacks.
Yes, turtle crocodile thing.
Yeah, I didn't run into a problem. Like, I didn't have an issue. I thought it was badass. I was like, this is so dope. Blasters, them jetpacking around, the flamethrower. The only part where I was like, really, was that a smart move? Was the grappling hooks? I was like,
yeah, like, what are you doing?
I was like, what was even if it didn't do the death roll that just hucked people into a washing machine?
Yeah.
I was like, what was the plan? Like, hold it down and then
with what strength? Your Mandalorian.
Like, they're not anchored.
Exactly.
What's the? You can be the strongest dude in the world, but if that thing has more pull than you, then you're being lifted. Like, I don't understand
right.
They didn't have reverse thrusters on or some shit.
Dude, that would have been epic.
That would have been sick.
They should have done that.
Yeah.
Because that makes way more sense than, because if there was 3 of us 3 and then 3 other dudes, and then we tried to grappling hook an elephant and do whatever, I don't even know, pull it to the ground. There's no way in hell we're doing that. So that was the only part I was like, I don't know if that was a good idea, guys.
Yeah. This thing was like, 1,000 elephants strong.
Yeah.
That's like ridiculous. And that was like, so that episode started off so cool. Like the kid in me was like, "Whoa, giant fucking alligator!" Like, and he's just like tearing shit up. But then after it all happened, I'm like, man, like, did they not do any research on like what fucking lives in that lake? And like, I'm like, you guys are Mandalorians. Like, what's going on here? And then I think one or two of them died. I was like, dude, that sucks.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
We didn't really get to see him do stuff. And then there was a point where I'm like, don't you have jetpacks? And then like 3 seconds later, it's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, fucking bust them out, dude. Like, dodge them with jetpacks. Stop trying to roll away, like, jetpack out of there. But of course, that's just me, like, that's just the watcher, you know. That's like the same dude in The Last of Us, like, guys, we're making too much noise. Like, you know, like, not there in the situation. But other than that, it was super cool. Like, that giant beast came in and, like, man, it was just taking lasers. Like, freaking unreal. If Mando didn't come in, like, half of them would have died, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, with the
Right, with the N1. Yeah, I agree. So that's the thing where you go from The Last of Us and then you watch this, and as much as I was stoked about that fight, your brain can't help think like, this doesn't make sense. Like, what would they have done if he didn't show up? So what were you thinking, Drake?
I was thinking kind of like, there's so many of them, and the Mandalorians are touted as essentially like one of the strongest things in the universe, right? Beings in the universe, and in terms of like war, right? And they're getting messed
like
up.
strongest warriors.
Yeah, they're getting messed up here, and I don't know if it was meant to like bring down their clout a little bit and make Mando look more heroic in that sense. Potentially, like, he is the leader. He is the one kind of quote unquote saving the Mandalorians.
Got the Darksaber.
Yeah, I got the Darksaber. So I was thinking like maybe that's what this is. That was my initial thought.
Man, it would have been cool anime style. He like ejects himself out of the ship and does a somersault spin with the Darksaber and just slices the head off.
Yeah, that would have been tight. Why didn't they do that? Fuck, that's perfect.
Yes, all of that would have been so freaking cool, and I mean, it was still cool. I still really liked this episode. I saw some people really not liking it, and I mean, to each their own. I was just kind of surprised by that. I really enjoyed it, but it just the writing to me, when you compare it to The Last of Us, completely different shows. I know that just is not as tight, and you're not like, yeah, I buy that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I felt like it, but really cool start. You know, he has that dialogue with the armor that kind of catches you back up, which was like, what happened at the end of season 2? Oh yeah, he's no longer a Mandalorian because he took off his helmet. Yeah, gotcha. Okay. And we go back to, I think it's called Navarro, and we get to see Grief Karga, basically Carl Weathers, and boy is looking fly.
Dude, he's looking like a boss. Dude, I love those little robots.
Yeah, they just have to hold his cape.
Yeah,
it's so awesome.
Just cape bots. Yeah, I was like, that's fly for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's great to have him back because I felt like he wasn't really around as much in season 2. And yeah, but just really cool. It was a great kind of just catching back up. And I don't know, how did you guys feel about the whole IG-11 situation? Because yeah, again, I kind of see why you want to bring IG-11 in. You know, we got Taika Waititi voicing him. I'm all for Taika, but it just like, I'm like, really? Like, why this droid? Especially, they're giving him a bunch of good options. They're like, we can give you another droid. We can make you a better one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it was interesting. He was like, no, this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
dude.
I know
like,
he doesn't trust robots, and that's the only robot he ever trusted. But at the same point in time, like, when it's not working out, you're like, okay, I'll just leave it with these small people. And you're like, okay.
Which is, I mean... That I do really like those guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, they're probably like one of the better things that come out of the new series.
Yeah.
It's like adorable, like or whatever.
Yeah, it like, broke. We broke or something. Oh yeah, it broke. I was just like, it's so funny.
They're just adorable looking.
They are. They're just like, you know, like beer-bellied little bearded mechanics who are just like micro.
Yeah.
I love that he's sitting in the garage.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that part was funny too. Or like Grogu goes to hug one of them.
Yeah.
He's like, no.
No, put it down. Put it down. Yeah. Which I feel like I have all the time for my dog Leia. So yeah. I get that. Felt that scene deeply. And then we get like a pretty badass Western standoff with the pirates. Shoots those bad boys down. And like he's offering, Greek Karga is offering Mando the life. He's like, dude, you can get a plot of land. This place is booming. I need a marshal. He offers him so many jobs. You're like, dude, you don't need to go take the bath in the living waters to like restore yourself. But, but I mean, it makes the end of the episode kind of make more sense. It just shows how devoted he is to this cause. It's interesting. Yeah. I wonder if we see him. I feel like in order for there to be character growth in this season, for me with Mando, he has to realize that the Watch creed is bullshit.
Yeah.
I think that's where I need to see it go.
I think that's probably what's going to happen, right? Because like they don't really seem like they want him, and he's like he came in saving their lives, and they're like, yeah, but you're not one of us, so. And he's like, well,
right.
I'm gonna bathe in that water. Good luck. Well, I will. And he's like, all right. You're like, fuck you then. Like, what? Yeah. Why'd I come here and save you? You should just let y'all die. Like
that's from the armor. That's not even from Bo-Katan at the end of the episode, which was like, that's stupid, bro. You're really gonna try this? Like she's on the opposite side. So basically, both teams are saying that's the dumbest shit ever. But all right, good luck.
You do it, yeah. Yeah.
So it's weird. Cool dogfight though in space. I liked that.
Yeah,
I thought
that
it was bad.
Cool. Yeah.
He, because we get to see. I mean, he's just a badass. And he's also like a really good strategist too. Hey, did you guys watch Rebels?
Yeah.
I didn't. You watched Rebels, right, Drake?
Yeah.
Okay. We saw Purgles. Do you want to tell people about the hyperspace tentacle whales that Grogu sees?
So Grogu, they're flying through like the space-time continuum. That sounds Star Trek-y. And then you see all those tentacle kind of Purgies on the outside of space-time, and then Grogu kind of goes down from I guess where R2-D2 would be, and then into with Mando. And that was kind of a cute scene. I don't know in specific what those monsters or I guess those creatures are. I just know that they exist.
Right. Yeah, I think there's a big hint with Ezra Bridger, right, that comes into play.
Oh, yes.
It was interesting showing that. Like, I wonder, I hope that leads somewhere. Like, I don't want that to be kind of an empty kind of, like an open door that, we never really walk through, and you're like, why did they leave that door open? Because seeing Luke with the chainmail and the lightsaber, it was like, wait, why can't he be a Mandalorian Jedi? There was already one. So that was one thing for me that never really sat right. But again, we got that in Boba Fett, and a lot of shit in Boba Fett didn't really make sense.
So you know what? I wonder. So I'm looking up Purgles right now. So in the lore, it said like these creatures.
They want to take out their brains for hypergrease. They want to do space hypergrease, and then that's where we get Avatar.
Yeah, and also so we can get space lamps. Get their oil.
Space lamp. Space soap.
That's how we get. That's how we get the Green Lantern. No, there.
Just anything.
Yeah. So they exist in deep space, right? They were actually the inspiration for hyperspace travel, and according it says in here that they had a habit of approaching and flying into starships near their flight paths and ships crashing into their swarms during hyperspace travel. So I wonder if we'll see that. That would be sick if he's trying to escape and then all these Purgles come and crash into enemy ships that are trying to chase him or some shit.
Yeah,
that'd be really sick.
Crazy. It's crazy that there was a creature out there though that could naturally do it, before technology, which is badass. I think that's kind of cool. But yeah, it's cool. It's just a really sick Easter egg, and I think if you watch Rebels, you really appreciated that point. But I think there's going to be a lot of questions for people online, like, what are those things? So, because I was thinking about it when I was watching it. But, and then at the end of the episode, once he's blasted past the pirate, I really liked that pirate, too. I think is Gorian something is the name of the pirate.
The
Swamp Thing.
Beard pirate.
Swamp Thing, yes. Yeah. Pirates of the Caribbean Swamp Thing was awesome.
He was pretty awesome.
I thought the practical effects and puppetry in this show though is so damn good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I agree.
They all looked cool, like the robots, the droids, the monkeys that were at Navarro. All that looked freaking awesome. The bat, the guy had like a bat bird pet on his shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
Like, all,
I loved all of that. That was
yeah.
great.
Then Zelens, like all that stuff was really tight. And then we end up on the Mandalore moon, I want to say, at the Mandalorian castle.
Oh, yeah.
And
Bo-Katan.
we see Bo-Katan, and she's just like
Chilling.
bummers. Yeah, she's like super bummers.
That's where she like rests. Like she doesn't have a TV or she's not reading a book or anything. She's just
You know
on
what's funny? It's like that looked like a long ass hallway. Yeah, like she's alone, right? So it's like, you know how far she is from like the bathroom, food, and water. She was like, I'm gonna walk down this long hall and sit in that chair.
Talk about melancholy, right?
Upset. yeah. So weird. Like, what a spot. That's hilarious.
She's like the definition of emo in Star Wars.
Yeah.
She's just listening to like Dashboard Confessional and My Chemical Romance, sitting in her Mandalorian chair, just thinking about how she doesn't have a darksaber.
No,
But and then she doesn't do anything. She just insults Mando and says, "That's dumb. What you believe is dumb. This isn't gonna work. And you can wave your sword around, and everybody will come to your side." And she just like insults him, and then he walks off. And I thought that was weird. Like, I liked the conversation,
Yeah.
but just show up, conversation, leave was weird.
Yeah,
to me.
I know. Didn't
Yeah.
even like eat a snack or like banter about anything. Like what?
Right.
No,
I thought she was, when he turned around, I thought she was going to try to kill him, because then if she beats him in battle, boom, she gets
right.
right. So I was like, oh, they're gonna like, as he walks away, she's gonna like trap him or beat him up or something, and then boom, now she's got the darksaber. But nope, just depresso espresso, and then he just gets to walk off.
Depresso espresso,
That's a
love
magic.
it.
It's a magic spell for sure.
Yeah.
I just thought it was weird. Like, if you really believe in the cause and what it stands for, and like, yeah, you're not it, then like get behind the person that is, maybe. Like, I don't know, it's just so weird how it's like, well, I can't leave, so like, whatever. And then I'm just gonna sit here and cry about it. It's like,
Pretty much.
it's so annoying. It's like, what do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Also,
hoping,
he went to visit her and then he left. Like,
totally. I mean,
was a
he was
weird-
not close.
yeah, it's
He-
like,
I mean, he
came
had to
all this
take-
way.
Yeah, you had to take the hyperdrive to get there. So, I mean, but again, it's a moon. It's close to Mandalore. Maybe it's on the way, but still, it seemed odd. I hope that sometime in the season, it kind of makes that scene make sense.
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay, I get why they put that in, because it led to X, Y, and Z. And I needed to get to X, Y, and Z to make it. But I mean, as a standalone episode, I just felt like it was great to have Mando back. It's so great. Like Grogu was serving looks in this that were so funny. He's so damn cute and funny. Like the way they use the looks is comedic timing on the Grogu look is perfect.
Yeah.
I liked it for all those reasons. I mean, there was, some things that I think they need to solve, but I don't know if I can judge this season on the first episode alone. I think I need to see a lot more for me to be like, I'm either in on this season or I'm out.
Yeah, I kind of wonder how much they're going to try to put in, like you talked about Ezra Bridger, like the Ahsoka situation, because the casting's already kind of good to go, and like they're trying to hype that up potentially in this season of Mandalorian too. So we'll see.
Right. Yeah. And then, like you're saying, it's good to have Mando back.
Yeah.
To have that weekly. It's cool. And more Pedro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That dude's on fire right now. He's probably going to win Handsomest Man of the Year. Or what is that called? Sexiest Man?
Sexiest Man.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, he should.
He's probably.
You're totally right.
Like,
the only other person I can see them giving it to is Jonathan Majors. Because he's the only person I think recently who's had equally as big weeks or weekends.
Yeah, that's true.
Because, I mean, he's had 2 movies that have gone back to back at number 1 at the box office, which that doesn't happen, I think, too much anymore. And man's doing it. So
good, too.
shout out.
Yeah,
He's good. He's good. So, yeah, any final words? Because our next episode, we will be talking about Creed. We got a bunch of other stuff that we watched this weekend that are fun. But again, that's for the next episode. And anything else that you guys notice or any final words?
No, just keep up with us so we can keep up with you. Or something.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, if you want to let us know how you feel about these episodes and whatnot, like feel free to comment on Instagrams or the Twitter or what have you.
Yeah, dude.
We'll be happy to converse with you.
Do it up.
Definitely. And we are doing the Mandalorian watch party again this Wednesday. Hopefully Scott and Drake can join this week. But we're going to be doing that every week, Wednesday night, 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So come in, and as the episode drops on Wednesday, like, come chat about it. I truly want to hear what you guys have to think about it, whether you love it and hate it, why you loved and hate it, and we'll go from there. So come check it out with us.
Peace.
All right, everybody. Yep. Thanks for sticking it with us, and we will talk soon. Peace.
The Joy Schtick Show.
If you've enjoyed what you've been listening to, we'd really appreciate a follow, subscribe, and a review. Just how we like chatting with our friends, please share this with yours. Feel free to join the squad and follow us at JoySchtickShow, Joy Schtick Show on Twitter and Instagram, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you feel like submitting topics or questions to be discussed on future episodes, you can email us at joystick.show@gmail.com. As always, thank you, peace out, and make it a great rest of your week.